Kane, when you guys were filming Hatchet, you being a veteran of the horror genre, did you have any expectations or think that the movie would be as popular as it was?
Based on, once we finished shooting and I saw how good that Adam was with his story and with directing and everything, even then, he was very talented. He's a very talented guy. And I had a feeling that, wait, maybe there's something good here, because I saw a rough cut of the first movie in the editing suite. And usually in the rough cut, you know, it's, the color isn't corrected, there's no music score, the sound effects are not in, and it's not even that fun to watch. But when I watched the first one, and then I left, and it really started to sink in, I said, you know, this is really a good movie. I didn't know if we would do a second, but I really had a feeling we would.
What was your favorite horror movie as kids?
Probably Poltergeist for me. But when Gremlins comes on, I still get a little like... I saw it in the drive-in, actually. Remember, Mom? We went to the drive-in.
I think mine is still The Exorcist, because I'm old enough to have seen it in the theaters with all the hype, and that was a huge deal then. If you see it, you know, later, even if it was re-released in theaters, it wasn't the same. There was so much, I don't know if you'd call it controversy, but so much stuff going around about the movie, how it affected people. The subject matter was so unheard of at that time. I just think it was a really powerful movie, and I think it still holds up pretty well.
You know, it's funny, I just recently thought of this because people always come up to me and say, oh, Halloween 4 was my favorite, and I grew up with you, and that was what started me loving horror movies, and you know, and I'm like, God, it's so great that it has a following, but I still don't quite understand that, you know? And then I thinking about it, like for me, loving Poltergeist, it's because I related to Carol Ann. Like, I was a little girl when I saw her and thought, oh my God, I'm not gonna go to the light. So I kind of like, it's kind of interesting.
Maybe a question over here somewhere? Went away. Kane, when Hatchet was being filmed, was there any concern whatsoever regarding the character of Victor Crowley being compared to Jason Voorhees? And if that was a concern, was there anything that you did to differentiate the two characters?
I don't think there was really a concern that they would be too similar, because from the beginning we decided that Victor would be more animated, quicker, more frenetic, unpredictable with his movements and stuff. So I think it was completely different. I still threw a couple of things into the Victor character that are like things I always liked doing during the Jason movies, but just subtle things. And a lot of times people wouldn't even pick up on it, but I would know that there was a little bit of Jason in there, but just for my own entertainment, really.
I don't know if this is a rumor, but I heard that when you prepared for your roles, you destroyed your trailer. Like, I heard...
Kane destroys everything, everywhere we go. I won't say it, you're gonna have to owe money here, but he always punching holes in things. Always. Every time we do a convention, he's like, I've seen you do it to a wall behind your table before.
I am in anger management classes. My instructor pisses me off. So,
he punched how many holes in doors or walls
I
trying to scare
broke
people?
2 doors during the filming of Hatchet 2. Only because I was trying to scare people on the set. And I just hit them too hard, and I had to, you know, I talked about it in the interviews. The first one, I kicked the bottom of the door and broke it off the hinge because I was trying to scare somebody. It was RA, actually, and then later he was in another room doing an interview, and I tried to scare him again and kicked that door and kicked a hole in it. And that time the guy that runs the studio said, you know, you're gonna have to pay for that door. I said, I guess, you know, fair enough, because I got away with the first one. So it's gonna cost you $100 to repair that door. I said, $100 to repair a hole in the door? He said, yeah. And I said, so you're not gonna just, he says, I have to buy a whole new door. And I said, really, you're not gonna just patch it and take my $100, right? And he said, no, I have to replace the whole door. So I said, so that door belongs to me, and I'm buying it. Yes. So I punched 3 more holes in it. Just to make sure that it's still there.
You know, there was a lot of it was on a soundstage, and there was all the greenery, and it was, I don't know what was going on. Was it molding, or it was emitting some weird, everybody got sick, not me. You didn't get sick either. I don't know how, we were in it.
I know.
But there was a day where we had lost like 9, 10, 12 people within the first couple of hours, people throwing up and other things happening, and then, God, they were driving like flies. And then our second
Something
AD,
the stage was terrible.
and then our first AD swallowed a plastic fork at lunch.
He broke it off and swallowed a piece of it and had to go to the hospital.
I was like, what? And we have like the short bus crew.
But, you know, the schedule, the shooting schedule was really tough. And so, unfortunately for me, I didn't have a lot of time to fuck around with people and try and scare them and stuff like I did in the first movie. So it was a little bit harder that way. So there are a few things that'll probably end up on some kind of, in the extras. A couple things I did, but nothing really like I did in the first one. If you ever watched the Meeting Victor Crowley section.
I love that when you scare Mercedes.
I know.
Oh my God. I was waiting the whole time. I remember before I started, because I know Adam plays practical jokes too, so I thought, God, between Adam and Kane, I wonder what they're going to try to do to me. And then I thought, God, it's going to have to be really good because I know you guys so well. And I don't think I don't know what it would take to scare me, but.
We tried, but we couldn't come up with anything that would really get her because she's very careful about everything. And I was in the makeup so much longer in the makeup chair that cut down on my free time as well. The makeup was redesigned this time. And the application process was still about 3.5 hours. But the removal time, from the first movie it was about maybe half an hour to take all the stuff off, but this time it took an hour and a half just to take it off because there was so much blending of the edges of the latex to my skin that I really didn't have a lot of free time.
I think I only have maybe one blooper. I'm pretty good about remembering my lines, and I had so much dialogue in this movie. And there was only one time where I completely blanked out. And you guys have seen the movie, I say so much. And the one line that I remembered was, he goes, "What's your father's name?" And I just went, "What's my dad's name?" That's what the whole movie's about. I could not remember for the life of me what his damn name was. So I'm sure that will be on the outtakes.
And there was one time when I was about to kill David Foy. I take the hatchet and smash his teeth in about 30 times, by the way, with the edge of the hatchet. And when I came out of the bushes, I was supposed to go, "Ah!" And I accidentally went, "Ooh!" I was totally fucked it up. Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, you know, Robert and I never got to do the Freddy versus Jason movie, so, you know, that was part of the deal to bring him in because he's so well known in the Freddy character, to have him be a victim. And so now I have killed, you know, Freddy, Leatherface, Candyman, and in part 7 I killed a Smurf. The one that played Tina's mom in Friday the 13th Part 7 was a voiceover actress, and she was Pansy Smurf. So I killed a fucking Smurf.
Now,
I think she's tired of signing that word.
I want to ask the both of you this question. Danielle, you were on both ends of the Halloween franchise, with Halloween 4 and 5 and then with Rob Zombies. How do you guys feel regarding the recent trend in Hollywood remaking all the classic horror movies?
I mean, you know what? We've talked about this so much with Adam, doing all of our interviews preparing for Hatchet, and that's what was so awesome about this movie was that it was a throwback to the 80s, kind of bringing back and putting the fun back in what we all grew up with, what we love, that I think they kind of lost track of that a little bit. I can't dog remakes because I was in one that I thought was really great, regardless if I'd have been in it or not, because I'm a Rob Zombie fan. But there are some that are kick-ass, and then there are some that are just not so good. So unfortunately, with us getting pulled out of the theaters, it was like, we had a shot for independent filmmakers, for original content, for some cool new stuff that not everybody sees. But while, Adam always says, like, while you support this, you're going and seeing the other stuff. They wouldn't keep making these movies if people didn't go and support them, So it's kind of that's why they make them, because those are the ones that make money. Yeah.
I mean, I feel the same way. I don't hate remakes as much, except one that was called Friday the 13th. And I probably wouldn't have hated it if I did it, but I didn't do it, so I hate it anyway. But I'm a big horror fan, always have been, so even though I'd rather see original stuff, I mean, it's so much more enjoyable to see something new. And also, for those of you that haven't seen Hatchet 2, it's not really a sequel, it's a continuation of the same story.
Third act.
And that's why, like Danielle said, it picks up from the very last frame of the first movie immediately thereafter, and it's the next day or two in the life of all these people. So
I don't know of any other sequels. Do you guys know of any other sequels that do that? Are there any others that pick up like right away? Halloween 2. Same frame?
Frame 2 started exactly.
which one?
Frame 2, when he opens his eyes, that's when the second one starts.
Right. I like that Back to the Future. Oh, I love those movies.
Now, as horror fans, is there anything that the general public can do to sway the MPAA to be more open-minded about unrated movies such as Hatchet 2?
If more people had come out in the theaters this past weekend, it would have helped a lot, but we tried to get people just to buy a ticket, even though to buy one online, and just even if you couldn't get to the theater or something, just to support the fact that we're trying to change the whole thing. But unfortunately, it wasn't as many people as we would have liked, but when you have a chance to change something, you got to try and support
Casting
it.
your vote,
Yeah.
Hey, Kate, do you have a favorite experience from working on Project Metal Beast?
What?
Do you have a favorite memory from filming Project Metal Beast?
A favorite memory from filming Project Metal Beast. Yeah, I was a 7-foot-tall, metallic werewolf in that movie. And it's one of the skeletons in my closet, which is quite embarrassing to look at me walking around on stilts and in a ridiculous-looking werewolf costume, but the only one that's probably worse than that is Hard Bodies. I'm in Hard Bodies.
That's rad.
Yeah,
Why don't you have any of those pictures at your table?
I just forgot to bring them.
I'll print some up for next time.
It tells you what kind of character I played because in the credits at the end of the movie, Kane Hodder, older geek. I was fucking 29 and I was older geek. But it's kind of funny because we did a lot of crazy stuff where like 4 guys that harass all the girls at the beach, and our dog named Worms would go steal the tops of the girls that were sunbathing, so.
Some things haven't changed.
Yeah, I know.